Greetings, this is Brother Nia from NABSS TV.
Hi.
I'm interviewing Lemuel Findlay Supplementary School, which is based in North London. And we're going to go through why they are set up and how they're doing at the moment. So Waveney and Sister Waveney and Brother Simba, please introduce yourself. Waveney, introduce yourself.
Yeah, my name is Waveney Harris. I'm one of the trustees for Lemuel Findlay Supplementary School, and I've been with them a long time. That's me. What else would you like to know?
Brother Simba?
Yeah, I'm Simba Mwanza, and I'm part of the management committee. I'm the longest surviving teacher at the school now. I've been there since 1989.
Woohoo!
And the counting.
Amazing.
Okay.
Absolutely amazing. So, so who were the individuals who were also involved in setting up the school? Who were the other personalities that were involved in setting up Lemuel Findlay in the first place?
Well, Lemuel Findlay is like the name of it now, but it started off quite differently. It started off with the YYs group, yeah, and that was in the 1970s. In fact, the whole school started in 1974. Okay, wow. And basically, what's happened is that there were a lot of people coming from the Caribbean and from Africa to live in England. They brought their children, and they found that many of their children were actually being sent to very poor schools, to the ESN schools. Sorry. Yeah. Right. So they many of the children were going to the black children were going to education subnormal school. They were sent to special schools, and because of that, the parents realized that the kind of education they were getting was very poor. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, what happened was the children were actually tested with British cultural inappropriate tests right at the beginning. So they didn't really kind of fit in to what was actually going on in the schools. So they thought that, you know, that they had learning difficulties, they put them in special schools and so on. Okay, so what the parents then did, they had the Black Parents Movement, and they demonstrated and they lobbied with the community. They lobbied the places like the Haringey and boroughs. They used to bus our children out in the 70s, and they went to terrible schools. So they held a conference, yeah, Young West Indian Self-Effort, that's what they were called, YYs, and they brought together different people to discuss what they could do. And they decided that they would call their own school. They had their own teachers that came up and supported the children. And they had sixth form students who were very keen to help. These are Black students, yeah, with the children. So basically, that was the base of it. Now, obviously, that then changed, and we had one of the main contributors, the name of Mr. Lemuel Findlay. He was a community worker for the African, and he became the organizer for the African Caribbean Senior Citizens Association. Okay. Yeah. He was one of the key contributors. Yeah, you know, he worked for Haringey. Basically, they were very keen to develop the school. My father, Eric Grant, he was they had a big turnout of young people that would come to the lessons. Okay?
So the demand was there.
The demand was there, yeah, and it was dozens and dozens of children were there. You know,
where was the school based then? Where was you based then?
They were based in, I think, one of the Lordship Lane schools.
Lordship Lane, yeah.
Lordship Lane School. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But what Eric Grant did, he invited the head of education in Haringey and said, look, these children and their parents, they come in every week and they actually have, you know, there are loads of people here doing it. It's regular and they do it. Anyway, the short version is that they actually decided that they would give them a contribution to support the school and to help with costs and so on. So Haringey Council has been helping us with that until about 2016. I think that's when it sort of finished.
You're doing austerity cuts.
That's right. Yeah.
Cuts
Very
across
much
the
so.
board. Yes.
Yeah. So you know, that's a little bit about the background, but it was extremely popular. We had the most we ever had there was about 178 children. I know because you know, those we had about 8 classrooms, 9 classrooms or something.
And for a black supplementary school, that is extremely rare because usually we're struggling to 1 or 2 classrooms. To have that many students in one school is very rare, very commendable.
And they could not get. They had to. There was a list. You couldn't get on the list. You know, people put in their list since the children were 5, and you know.
Yeah, long waiting list.
Very long waiting list. People could not get in.
So did you recommend another school for them to go to?
Sorry?
Did you recommend another school, another Saturday school for them to go to rather than waiting around?
I think some people did do that. Some people did do that.
There's about 5 in the area.
Several.
Yeah, because Kokai was around in them days, weren't they?
Yes, yes. There were lots of schools like that in those days. And they weren't necessarily funded, but it's just people just got on with it, you know.
Well, did you attend the meeting? Are you fixed up with Kokai? Because I was trying to get all the schools, because basically all the other schools, like 4 other schools in North London, they all lost their funding, including Kokai. Kokai lost 90% of their funding from Islington Council. So I tried to get the schools to come together and share that building. Either. Oh. You remember that meeting?
In Finsbury Park.
Yes. Yes. You came along to that meeting. Yeah.
They gave us stuff. They gave us items and stuff like that. They had a wonderful space.
Absolutely. They had a science lab. My gosh. And then people couldn't work it out and they just closed the whole thing down, which is a big, massive shame.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
So in terms of setting up the school, what was the low points? And then we'll go through the high points later, but what were the low points in setting the school up and keeping it running?
The low points and the high points. For me, the high points were when we celebrated, for example, our anniversary in 2019. That was really great.
For how many years?
We had a big turnout.
How many years was it? 45 years?
It was, but that was in 19. So that was in 2019. Yeah. Now up to date, LFSS. We are now this year. It's going to be 47 years that we are still here. I think we're in London, definitely in North London. It's the oldest school, but you know we're ticking over. We're still there. We don't have hundreds of pupils, but you know we've really tried to continue to support our children. Yeah, for lots of reasons, as you know, for their performance, educational performance, to build up their self-confidence and self-esteem. You know, all of that. We actually, you know, we try to realize their full potential as African and Caribbean children. You know, we actually kind of kept supporting them. They had mentors, but I think the thing about it really is that they were able to we were able to do lots of different activities with them, and I think Simba might talk about some of these. You know, we're all welcome to do that. But we know we do the basic. You know, we do English, we do maths, we do science, and of course we do African history. We do cultural activities as well. So Simba also will talk about that. But yeah, our school's ticking over. But you know, it's expensive now. We pay hundreds, thousands every year to just
For the
get
space.
space,
Yeah.
or to get several, you know, classrooms. So that's really difficult. Yeah, but people are still coming in.
So what are the high points? What are the success stories?
Other success stories. Well, apart from having, I don't know, over 200 people coming to celebrate you know, to celebrate what we've been doing historically. We have people who have become lawyers, and you know, we aren't great at following what they're doing now, yeah. But we have all different. They come back, they bring their children. You know, they're working, they're doing different things. I think we don't keep following up in that sense. Perhaps we should be doing a lot more of that. But I don't know. It's the situation. I think is it's very different nowadays, because there's a great movement to private tuition and one-to-one groups. Yeah, one-to-one with children, and some parents prefer to pay money and do that. It's very expensive, but we've kept our prices low. We advertise. Sorry, we don't advertise very much, but we need to do that to bring in more. What's that?
I do it for you.
Oh, you do it for us. Yes, we get people phoning saying, "I've been on NABSS, and you know, they've said
Oh,
blah,
good.
blah, blah."
That's nice to know.
Yes, they do.
Nice. I don't hear that from the schools. It's nice to know that you should get through.
Yes, people do phone us and contact us and say,
"Oh, right, nice."
Yeah, definitely. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. That's what I'm here for. I just don't hear if they get through or not. I said to parents, when you contact the school, let me know if you get through or not. Let me know what schools contact you or which ones don't. I don't hear from them again. So I assume they get in, but yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah. But it's fine.
So what kind of communications do you have with the mainstream schools in the area and universities? What kind of communications do you have?
I think I've spoken enough.
Simba?
Well,
any communication with the mainstream schools in the area and universities?
Yeah, well, we've generally kept some reasonably good communication with the schools in the area, especially with the primary schools. Also because we've used them as a sort of filter. Well, they come to us, and we have a particularly strong both primary section by itself. I'll come to the secondary section later, but the primary section, we have some excellent teachers. And one of the things about it is that the schools, some of the schools in the area have sent kids to us, especially when they found that kids are sort of like falling behind. They've been able to send them over, and we generally hold on to those kids. In the secondary, last year, for example, we had one of the schools we sent around to tell the schools in the area, the secondary schools, about our program. And one of the schools, they found out some more and then contacted us about what we offer. They then sent a number of students. It was 16, I think, students that came from the secondary school, and the support was in terms of maths, English, and science. And these were GCSE students.
Wow.
Now, that program was going particularly well until there was this COVID intervention. Since then, we have contacted them, yes, but because schools themselves have not fully functioned in the way that they had before, we can't continue that link. But that is one that we intend to tap as soon as things improve.
Okay.
And what we intend to do also is to use that experience as advertisement, because the feedback that we had been getting had been really good from those students and from the teachers who came along and help establish the link between us.
Okay, so we're in 2021 now, in March. So we're in the middle of a lockdown because of the corona pandemic.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously your school, Lemuel Findlay itself, is closed for the time being.
We are.
So as soon as we come out of lockdown, you're open again. So yeah,
Yes.
the thing is though, right? The mainstream schools are sending you students that are falling behind and having problems with the education that they're giving. You're building them up with your expertise and your help. Who's getting the credit for it?
Well,
you're helping them boost their league tables.
Huh?
You're helping them boost their league tables.
We're not gonna say, well, we're not getting credit for that. The reason is, one, they're paying for the service.
Oh, that's good then.
Yes,
they
are. Yes.
That's good.
And also because they recognize that a lot of these kids had been having difficulties even within their own support program. And so they asked us if we could sort of support, which we took on as a...
For the schools to do that, because many schools don't bother. Lots of schools don't even recognize Saturday schools. So for them to do that, excellent.
Yeah, it is.
Excellent.
And you see, because we were getting such good feedback, we were going to use this as sort of a selling point to advertise this facility to other secondary schools in the area.
Okay.
Because you see, we have a team of, this is the secondary teachers. We have excellent teachers in the school. I think one of the ways that we can easily judge this is that teachers don't leave. Our teachers don't leave hardly ever. Like some of the main ones have been there, nearly 20 years.
Wow.
And that kind of thing. Yes, we've got primary teachers as well who've been there 20 years also. So that strength of community that we've achieved over the years is one of the strongest things about us.
Okay.
One of the selling points, because the atmosphere for me that is created on Saturday is second to none. It is a brilliant atmosphere with the students and the teachers, and to have them work in that atmosphere, seeing Black people around and supporting and singing, as we say, off of the same ink sheet, doing the same thing. It is a wonderfully warm and a great feeling.
Yeah, it is.
One of the things about it is I want to talk about the teaching of English in the secondary. Our main teacher, she teaches also at the sixth form college in English, and she teaches literature there. In the school, all her resources are taken from Caribbean and African background in terms of literature. So the children, they get that feel of working and hearing about that perspective that we talk about, that is often missing in the mainstream.
Yeah.
Getting that African and Caribbean perspective, where, you know, all the poems she brings, all the pieces, all the texts that she uses are from that kind of background. And, you know, the children, you know, always talk about this. And the activities that are created that come out of this are always, you know, very special. And it has that African feeling that we all work towards. One of the other things about the school, I think, is the idea of the cultural aspect of the school, because we try to make the African culture, African context, a part of what we do. Now, that is not so straightforward as you can imagine in things like maths and science. It's when we are doing language that it is easy to do. But because we also put aside energy and time, especially through having assemblies to begin with, and midterm and end of term activities that focus on the African or the Black experience. Mm-hmm. And that isn't taken for granted at all. We always try our best to use the children as to include them in their understanding and presentation during those activities. I myself spend a lot of time kind of working with this African perspective. And I think it is one which I think the school benefits from, because a supplementary school could be, you know, you teach maths, you teach English, it doesn't distinguish itself or making itself unique than any other school, any other, you know, lessons. But it is when you bring that aspect of it, the aspect of culture, where we're going, where we came from, where we want to go in the future, is what makes us part of being special.
Absolutely. What kind of feedback do you get from parents?
Brilliant, brilliant. Because in those activities, parents recognize that in the school system, there's always like something missing. To the extent that they, you know, when they talk about teaching of history, nobody talks about African history. Nobody talks about Caribbean history, so to speak. But it is when we establish that and make it part of our focus that parents then highlight this and say, you know, this is really good. And our parents have supported this in all kinds of ways, including making themselves available wherever they could to participate and ensure that the children participate and contribute as well as possible in these activities. When we asked, I remember a few years ago, we had a competition of, we call it elocution, where children had to go and learn either a poem or a piece of a passage that had an African perspective. And, you know, parents came along when we had the final on that evening, and the response was, you know, great. Mind you, when we do stuff and it comes off well, parents are always wanting to know, well, when we're doing it again. That's the thanks you get from doing something well. And it's always a joy. And I must say that part of it is one that we don't take lightly, that we think that is important in the present circumstances in this country.
Okay.
Yeah. By the way, I wanted to touch something on the idea of the school and its highs and lows. You mentioned it about a lot has to do about funding.
Yeah.
Now, when I joined the school in 1989, the school was being supported generally in all kinds of ways, resources, paying teachers and so on by the council. And shortly after, everything came crashing down. Now, when that happened, it affected the school dramatically because we could not function in the way that we had been doing before. Now, we carried on for a couple of years, bouncing along, shall we say, the bottom. And the decision was taken to close the school. Had it not been for some colleagues who decided that we will work regardless of what it is. Now, we operated under very difficult circumstances, but we operated at a small venue where only what we charged as fees to the children was coming in. And at that time, we, the teachers, those who were running the school, we didn't get any salary, of course, but we did it out of our, the importance to the community. Now, I, as one of the people who went through that, I recognize that we had actually made the decision to close the school. I was there when the decision was made, but some of us said, no, we simply can't close the school. And what happened after that was that the numbers were small. And so we kind of kept bumping along the bottom for a long time. But we kept going to the relevant bodies, to the council especially, and say, look, this is something for the community. This is something for children. And we pay taxes in this borough, you know? So it is we're not begging you. This is something that we qualify for. Okay, eventually they started paying the teachers again. From that by that we had gone like 3 or 4 places before our first time we arrived at Cornell, which is the College of Northeast London. Okay, now when we went there, that is when our school really took off, because once they could pay the teachers, it means that we didn't have to charge parents the full thing, the full whack, and we could go back and charge parents what we think parents could afford and what we thought was, reasonable. And that's the time when we went up to, over 170 students.
Oh, brilliant.
And counting. Yes.
Yeah.
Now,
are all the teachers, they all paid, or do you have some volunteers?
Now?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, some are volunteers.
Okay.
Some of the teachers are volunteers, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And
I've got a few minutes left. So what's the outlook for the future? Bearing in mind,
I would say,
once you come out of the lockdown, what's the outlook for the future?
I'd say is positive, mainly because, like anything else, a time like this is a time for reflection.
Yeah.
It's a time to see, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to survive? And one of the things that we launched during this time was the GoFundMe. And this has been useful. It has brought us resources which will ensure that we don't close when, because I suspect that not only supplementary schools, but my concern is about supplementary schools, that many of them may not survive this. Like other organizations, lots of organizations not going to survive this. And I feel that in this time here, that we shouldn't overplay our hand. Hold on to what we've got, continue to make the necessary preparations, but don't lose faith at this time. Make sure that our teachers, who are, the fundamental aspect of the school, ensure they don't go anywhere to another school, to another.
Oh no, they're not going anywhere.
Absolutely.
A lot of the schools are online now, and they've actually prospered from being online.
Yeah, we have. Our intention is to go online. We've put it on. We've discussed it, but what has happened is that the very people who, as you can imagine, the teachers, they're teaching all day, and the response is that teaching online is not straightforward. I do it myself, and I know that it needs a lot of preparation. And once they got more than a few students, the workload grows. The preparation time and energy, they all grow. So we will be online before we go back into the college. This is my feeling. You see, I expect that but the future, like you were talking about, is one that we have passed through the worst. We've passed through extremely difficult times, and I do not expect that this will be so all-consuming that we can't come out of this with our heads held high. That is my prediction.
Okay, Waveney, what's your outlook for the future?
I think there is a need still for what we do, and I think that we need to become more involved in the community and broaden out to a lot more schools, the secondary schools and the junior ones. I think that we should go online if we can get that act together. But we find that parents also want the face-to-face. Obviously, that depends on the virus, doesn't it? Depends on COVID.
Some of the schools are doing both. Some are staying offline, some are going back online, and some schools are doing both. So whatever works for you, whatever resources you have, whatever works for you.
Absolutely.
Just do.
Absolutely.
And if you're
it's the kind of time.
Don't be worried to recommend another school.
Yep, absolutely.
But whatever works for you.
I think we should do both. I think we should do both. We should do online, and I think we should also, have sessions, people who want to have the one-to-one, if, when the pandemic is over. Do you see what I'm saying? Because that is the best way of doing it. And hopefully in the summer term, it would be so that we could go back together.
Beautiful.
In one space.
Beautiful.
But we have to do what we can do.
Absolutely. Yeah. Waveney and Simba, thank you very much for your time. You've given us some very good information about the Lemuel Findlay Supplementary School based in North London. Thank you very much for your time. I'm here for you. I'll be supporting you on your journey.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very
much.
And
thanks for what we have done in the past, and thank you for what you will do in the future.
And also, you're the award winners as well. You're award winners.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Congratulations. Well done.
Yeah. Cheers.
Okay.
Thank you.